This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. Over the last couple days, we have seen the media being flooded with stories around Harry wanting to come back and help out while the king is seeking cancer treatment. And then on the other hand, we have media pieces coming out stating that the palace says there's absolutely no role for Harry to be included here, coming back into the royal fold. Well, what I think is going on, and I clearly see this as a media tactic, is that there's some sort of deflection happening here. Now, according to the Telegraph this weekend, they say palace sources say there is no way back for the Duke of Sussex to step in and help his family carry out duties while King receives treatment. So it says here, a newspaper claimed the Duke had told friends he would step back into a royal role and quoted an insider saying it made perfect sense on a practical level. And a couple paragraphs down, it says, the Duke and his father recently spent around 30 minutes together at Clarence House after Prince Harry flew back to Britain having learned of the King's cancer diagnosis. It is understood that the matter was not discussed in that meeting at which the Queen was present, which I think is a mistake. I think they meant to say the King, with no formal conversations taking place about the Duke's return. Palace sources have emphasized that the king's illness will not change the terms of the Sandringham Summit agreement in which the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's exit from the working royal family was negotiated in detail. Those terms were quite clear, and the king's illness hasn't altered that, said one source. Another confirmed that the expressed views of the late Queen, the King, and the Prince of Wales that a hybrid model of working royalty was not appropriate remains the case. Okay, this part is important. I personally don't think that we have been told the full picture of this Sandringham Summit. And why I say that is because it says it right here, in which the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's exit from the working royal family was negotiated in detail. So you have to think to yourself, what did they have to negotiate and how much detail was added there? It was either you were in or out. Quite simple, in my opinion. Now, if you had the half in, half out scenario, then there would be a lot of things to cover in detail and to be clear around. And here is where it makes me think we've been lied to again by the media. Look, we all know that the monarchy uses the media to their advantage and they control the narrative. We have seen them do it with Meghan Markle and covering up for her. We've seen them do it with rehabilitating Harry's image when he was having his crisis with drugs and other shenanigans. This is not any different, in my opinion. I think that there is a story there that we're not being told. So when we see headlines like this, Prince Harry holds talks with First Nations chief over commitment to Canada's Indigenous people, your first reaction is, what is he doing? What right does he have to overstep and have these conversations as if he's some dignitary representing the monarchy? And from an outsider perspective, it looks very much as if Harry and Meghan are inserting themselves and forcing the hand of the king, doing the work that they had envisioned when they were leaving initially back in 2020 to show them that it can be done. Now that the king is incapacitated with his treatments, they're going to go ahead and behave as if they were given this half in, half out scenario. That's what it looks like to me on the outside. And we're all sitting here scratching our heads like, why is this allowed to happen? Why is the monarchy not putting their foot down and saying, no, these two have no involvement with our work, and that's that? But they're not. And you have to ask the question, why? In this recent publication by the Telegraph, they're saying that the Duke's father, who is King of Canada and head of the Anglican Church, is considered a part of discussions about reconciliation, and has previously called for the pain and suffering of Indigenous people to be recognized. So the king was actively involved with this. And now Harry is coming along saying that he has held talks to talk about fostering this reconciliation, as if he is doing work on behalf of the monarchy. So, if this is the case, or at least this is the impression that I'm getting, and I'm sure many others are getting the same impression, then there must be some type of agreement that involves Harry handling affairs. And it has been stipulated in the Sandringham Summit. Otherwise, why would he overstep his boundaries to do this and the palace not say anything back refuting it? Think of all the things that this couple have done over the last 6 years, and the monarchy have remained silent. Think about the most recent with Jamaica. Could it be that maybe they are being instructed to do these things? And here's why I say that. Now, I know we have seen this website 1,000 times over and what it says, but there is a detail here that people are not picking up on that is telling us exactly what the situation is. It says here the Duke of Sussex is fifth in line to the throne, and the younger son of the King and Diana, Princess of Wales. You scroll down a bit further, it says the Duke and Duchess have stepped back as senior members of the royal family. They are balancing their time between the United Kingdom and North America, continuing to honor their duty to the king. So there have been many conversations around this saying, well, oh, it takes a long time to update this website. They'll get around to it. I call BS on that because notice they changed the Duke of Sussex is now fifth in line to the throne. They had to go in there and change this wording. Also, they state that the Duke and Duchess have stepped back as senior members. Okay, they stepped back. They didn't step away. They didn't step down. They just step back as senior members. Maybe they are just junior members now. As they state, they are balancing their time between the United Kingdom and North America, continuing to honor their duty to the king, continuing to honor their duty to the king, meaning continuing to serve the king. Here is the detail that we are not talking about. If you go into Prince Harry's bio, it says there specifically in a tab that says supporting the monarch, in which it says, following the announcement that the Duke and Duchess will be stepping back, not stepping down, as senior members of the royal family, their roles, meaning their position, will continue to reflect their sense of duty and allegiance to the monarch as they transition into the new working model, meaning they have created a working model to which they are still employed to the monarchy to carry out their duty to the king. It says the Duke attaches great importance to his role, again, position, in the royal family's public service to the UK and around the Commonwealth. Here is what I think. I think Harry still works for the monarchy, but Meghan doesn't. And the whole fight for security is to get her and those two invisible children covered. Because currently, right now, they don't see her as being a part of the royal family. Clearly, on the website, there is no tab that says supporting the monarch. If you notice, she has been completely cut out. And I think that's what this fight is all about. Harry is still very much under payroll of the monarchy in this new working model or role or position that they've created for him. Say what you want, whatever the newspapers say and however they spin the narrative, this is where the source of truth is. And this is telling me that Harry is still employed by the monarchy. There is a role that they created for him. Not for Meghan, because it doesn't say that in her profile and bio, but it says it point blank here in our faces. So when we look back and say, oh, Harry jetted over to the UK to see his father and he had all sorts of security, it means that he is covered with security, meaning he doesn't have to do this 30 days advance notice, but his wife does, and the two invisible children do if they decide to hop over. We know that Prince Harry is getting protection here in the United States. Why is that? Oh, is it because he is Counselor of State and it's because he's still working for the monarchy? He may not be here on official duty, but we know that he has been trying to undermine the United States with his interference of our Constitution and trying to silence Americans' free speech. But he is here nonetheless, and he is doing whatever he wants, and the monarchy says nothing. So the question is why? Is this a part of the working agreement in the Sandringham Summit? Is it because he's over here doing things that the royal family can't outwardly do because they're supposed to be non-political? We've got to ask all these questions because why is it that they're not doing anything about simply as this interfering with having talks with the indigenous people on behalf of King Charles, and he says nothing? If Prince Harry was truly out as being a working royal, then we would have seen similar language than that of Prince Andrew's on his bio. If you notice here, Prince Andrews says, the Duke will continue to not carry out public duties. Doesn't say the Duke has a new role or in a new working model. He will not carry out duties. And if you scroll further down where it says supporting the monarch, they make it very clear that Prince Andrew is no longer supporting the monarch, meaning he's no longer with the company, meaning he's no longer pledging allegiance to serve the king. Hence, the Duke will continue to not carry out public duties, no longer representing the monarchy. However, Harry and Meghan still honoring their duty to the monarch, still supporting the monarch, still has a role within the company. As Harry and Meghan build their life overseas, you can't help but wonder, did the Sandringham Summit include any of that overseas business that Meghan and Harry should be undertaking? I'm willing to bet that Jamaica provided Harry and Meghan security when they went there for the Bob Marley premiere. I said this from the beginning. Harry and Meghan wanted a role like Prince Andrew to be assigned as some type of special envoy within the Commonwealth, to be able to go to these various countries to do duty on behalf of the monarch, but also be able to strike their private deals and make money off of it, whether it be facilitating diplomatic relations between companies and the proper governments, that private public partnership that the WEF really enjoys. This is what they were planning on doing, to make that connection and then receive some type of commission off of it. Exactly what Andrew did. And what we're seeing here with Harry talking about, these conversations with the indigenous people. I'm sure he had conversations with Jamaica. I'm sure he wants to have more conversations with other Commonwealth countries. Harry has always stated the tremendous amount of opportunity that was there with the Commonwealth. They mentioned it in the Oprah interview. They mentioned it in the Netflix mockumentary. This is what they wanted. The opportunity was not to help the people. The opportunity was for them to make money. And I think they learned with Andrew, with all the scandal surrounding it. They saw exactly the same thing happening with Meghan Markle because she's a scandal in herself. I think William is rightfully pissed off because his father's not putting his foot down. And whether it be said behind the scenes, perhaps maybe they have things in progress so that they don't come out looking like they're the bad ones, it's yet to be seen. But I do think that there's more to that Sandringham Summit than we all realize. Maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but when you look at that website and they clearly say role, it shows that they have a position within the monarchy. The other thing that we have to consider is, do the royal family see Meghan and Harry the same way that we see Meghan and Harry? I mean, we know that the royal family is not invested like how we are on a daily basis on the things that are coming out in the press and talking about what they are doing, what they're not doing, what they're saying, what they're wearing. I mean, we're the ones that are doing that. I highly doubt that the king is worried about Meghan Markle's website, Sussex.com, or that she signed another podcast deal with Lemonada. I highly doubt he knows any of that stuff or cares. And I think that this can be applied to Michael Bublé, because why would this guy serenade Prince Harry and call him a visionary if he knew of all the stuff that Harry has done and paid attention to it? There's still a lot of people who don't know the details of all the bad that this couple have done. You can see it reflected here at Invictus when they keep allowing this guy to come back and grift off of them. We saw the same bizarre behavior with Harry presenting an award at the NFL event, and you have this football player in total awe of Prince Harry giving him an award. I highly doubt he knows all the shenanigans behind the scenes of what this couple has been doing.
No need for fuss, I'll bring my bus and camp in your drive. One last time, Harry.
Here's a perfect example. I don't see any issue with Bublé's wife and the Harkles. Here they are laughing, sitting together. If there truly was something between the ladies, they wouldn't be sitting next to each other. Now, we all have to recognize that not everybody sees what we are seeing. And there are people who don't know of half the stuff that we know about what this couple have done.
Might I add our healing wishes for your dad?
Now, I thought that part was interesting because as Michael Bublé is saying healing wishes to your dad, meaning the king, you see Megan shaking her head, yes.
Our healing wishes for your dad.
It's just so bizarre because Harry doesn't make any kind of movement, and that's his father. What about your father, Megan? Why are you so concerned about Harry's father, especially since you've called the whole family racist? Oh, it's not because she really cares. It's because in that small moment, she was able to make it about herself and drawing attention to herself by shaking her head as if she is concerned, right? Thus putting everybody's focus on her. That's what narcissists do. And that's a subconscious thing. She's not actively thinking, oh, let me shake my head so attention can get on to me. That just was like a reflex for her.
To each one here who strive and tried, you showed us all how we can fly. You've earned each day the right to say, you can sing it with me, I did it my way.
Yeah, like they're all standing and cheering. Are they cheering for Michael Bublé and his voice, or are they cheering for Harry for, doing things his way? I don't know. I think that these two believe that they're cheering for them, and Harry, again, feels like he's done the right thing, and he's going to continue to keep doing what he's doing because he thinks it's working. So, in final, what I honestly believe, I believe that Meghan and Harry are doing what they're doing because they have the blessing of the monarchy, period. As I have laid out to you and showed you, there's no misunderstanding about Andrew's position within the firm. He doesn't have one. So if that was the same case with Harry and Meghan, don't you think that similar words would have been used so that there's no confusion on what they mean? So when we see these headlines coming out of the palace stating that, oh, there's no way back for this royal, I do believe that there's some truth to that. Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, the royal households don't want these two to come back because of the trouble that they have caused. And I think a lot of it has to do with Meghan. They don't want her anywhere back on palace grounds. They don't want her near anyone in the family because she is a malicious, evil person. In my humble opinion, I do believe that Harry's still very much a part of the monarchy, and he will always have a path back as long as it is without Meghan. We know that he has been communicating with the palace. He might not be communicating with his family, but he's definitely communicating with the palace. He's even said so in the past. I just think that right now people need to recognize that that website is intentional. There's no mistakes. There's no, oh, we didn't have time to update it. They clearly update the website when they need to, when they have to. And they did it here in this instance. And like with Andrew, they could have done the same with Meghan and Harry, but they didn't. So you have to question, why is that? I mean, do we necessarily believe everything that the media has been telling us? No. What we can go is truth. And if we look at this website and what it's telling us is telling us that Meghan and Harry, well, particularly Harry, is still working for the firm in some capacity. That's just my personal opinion. But what do you guys think? As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.